moving more toward less incarceration, less like retribution,
right,
and really more rehabilitation.
right.
I think some of the Cook County president's efforts, Tony Preckwinkle, are now focused on trying to have juveniles, minors, in environments that are more like residential treatment versus
Right.
actual jail.
And then the juvenile diversion programs too.
Absolutely.
Some of the diversion programs, jail adjustments and things like that, so they don't even get into the court system.
It is important, though, that the law recognizes the differences between children, minors, and adults.
And then my debate has been the cognitive factor. The child is not operating. I always use computers as an analogy. You know, it's like a child's got 100 gigs and adults have 1,000 gigs of information to make decisions based on. So some of the things that they do are mimicking behaviors they've seen in videos, on TV, in their environment or whatever. And then they say, well, we're going to charge them as an adult because they did something that's actually mimicking an adult behavior, but the capacity, their thinking cognitive skills aren't at an adult level. So technically, there's a group of people would say they shouldn't be charged as an adult. We need to try. Is that we're greater likelihood of rehabilitating them than with somebody that's 30, 40, 50 years old that knows better. So,
yeah,
but the cases that you hear right now have nothing to do with the criminal side.
Right. I'm actually on the child protection side. So there's juvenile justice, which are, you know, the minors when they're charged with offenses, and now child protection. One really critical difference, and maybe I think juvenile justice can borrow something from this approach, is child protection looks at the family unit. And the court intervenes when the child is either taken into temporary custody of the state or ultimately is made a ward of the court. The focus is the family. Certainly you're looking at what are the particular needs of this child or these children, but then looking at this child or these children as part of a family unit. So the purpose of the court is to intervene to help the family reunify if appropriate, recognizing that it's better for a child to be raised in a home of relatives with care, concern, and the proper physical, emotional, and educational support that's needed. But the important point, I think, is really looking at the entire system as a holistic approach, trying to intervene in the family. And sometimes when you have, today's, children in the child protection side become tomorrow's children charged with petitions of delinquency. And so often it's important when we intervene as a court, as society, in the lives of a family, that we're doing it to address the concerns, the specific concerns of that family, and recognizing the uniqueness of the individual. The one-size-fits-all, haul them all off to adult court, or hold them in detention facilities without really evaluating and addressing the specific needs. I think it goes a lot to maybe your point of what you were saying before about how in the, before there was, at least you were saying in the late 90s, in your view, the whole focus was just jail them, treat them like adults. And I do think the recognition is dawning. I think the trend recently is to look more holistically at the individual.
Right. Yeah, because they start seeing an overload. They started seeing a lot of the children had substance abuse problems or mental illness. Mental illness as an issue that needed to be addressed. The family structure wasn't what it was in 50s or the 60s or 70s. So it's a lot of things going on.
There are many factors that go into.
And you as a judge have to determine what's best for the child.
Absolutely. Every decision based on the best interest. Right.
Which is that's I don't know. It's kind of hard to walk out of over there on Ogden, out of that building, without thinking about some of the cases that you have.
Oh, I think oftentimes they're with you, even when you're not at work, when you're doing any, your own life, you're still thinking about the lives of these people. I mean, I think it helps a lot to come from a background, to have had the experiences that I've had growing up. I think it helps you have a greater sensitivity to the situations that arise in juvenile court. You can look with